Hi, welcome to Awaken with Rayania. I'm your host, Rayania Cheyenne. Today, I'm very delighted to welcome one of my fellow human beings that I admire, Steven Jahn. Steven, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me on here. This is such beautiful times, and I am so grateful for your service to humanity and hosting a platform like this to have people like me on here and just sharing from the heart and co-creating and being in the now moment.
Yeah, I love the word co-creating. Yes, indeed. Like, I think each moment in our encounter, in our connection, it's really about co-creating with our intention. So I would like to invite you to just introduce yourself at this particular moment, who you are and what you are here to do.
Mm, wow, I think it's so funny because when I think about that question, who I am, truly, I feel like it's such a vast answer, because to say that I'm just Steven and I'm just human body, and that's like a very small aspect of who we truly are, being everything and nothing. And so instantly I start to think of like, how should I approach this? Because I've my level of consciousness, I've awakened to who I am as source, as everything, as nothing, but also understanding too that this small me as Steven and as in this human vessel experiencing this matter reality is definitely part of it. So I guess I'll just stick with that for now. As I've mentioned, my name is Steven Jahn. And I am here to be in service to others, to really, it's so interesting. I've never said this before, but I would say that I am love. I think that saying in itself really encapsulates who I am at my core essence and my service to others, and where everything that I do really comes from. And so currently right now, my service is manifesting in several ways. As I believe that when an individual is embodying their core essence, when they are awakened to who they are, when they're just being themselves, that in itself is such an amazing service, that is so impactful on so many levels. But currently, I am an aura practitioner, which is an acronym. And I also am Raw Reiki certified, which in a nutshell is that I do energetic healings, I do past life regressions, and the individual or individuals have the opportunity to channel their higher self and get questions that they might have, perhaps it is who they are, what their purpose is, and so forth, through a hypnosis technique. And in that modality, I work with the archangels, and then the clients or the individual or individuals' higher selves. And right now, I'm actually in a phase of my journey where things are expanding, and as I'm meeting with you, I get to see more of myself. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I can also add this to my service and this. And so that's what I'm currently offering, but it's in the works of expanding even more of how I could be of service to humanity.
Yeah, wow. It's there are so many points and direction that we can go. But what I wanted to feedback to you is that I feel that the simple question, like who am I, it's such a standard question, and the typical answer that we would want it to fit in with a job description. At least that's how I used to be. And it's almost like that's the identity we take on. So to represent certain value, in the society, so for people to recognize or to evaluate, how interesting is this person, or do I want to get to know them better? And I think through the different phases or different level of the consciousness awakening, it's a fascinating journey to get to know who we really are, right? Like we are this multi-dimensional self. But so what I wanted to ask you is that, now in the spiritual community, a lot of people are talking about, becoming this new human or embodying our multi-dimensional selves. And I wonder, what is your take and what's your perception, or what's your understanding as this embodying our multi-dimensional self?
Wow, that's a really great question. Yeah, I take it as, so there's many layers, as I would think that there's many layers to everything and any topic you can get into. And I can only speak from my perspective on this. So for all who is listening, take what resonates with you and throw the rest out. My journey has been one of, embodying my higher self and oversoul. And as I've done this, it's like I'm holding two perspectives, or I'm able to have the perspective of the small me, the Steven who's going through day-to-day life. But at the same time, I now have my lens of perception is widened. So now I'm pulled out of the matrix, so to speak, of like, I'm no longer feeding into the victimizer roles, and now I'm truly able to see the beauty in all things. This has really pulled me out of, I need to be right and this person's wrong, or good needs to conquer evil. I'm in a state of being where it's like it is all profound in its own way. For me, it's all just experience. Some experiences don't resonate with me and others do. And I think as we start to embody more of our higher selves and our oversouls, our multidimensionality, as a side effect, things like this occur. And it really helps to navigate this reality. No longer are we just constantly stressed out or being upset or thinking negatively about someone, which essentially, if we know that everything is all energy and all frequencies, you're just harboring that low, dense frequency, keeping you in a very limited state of experiences. And when you can release that and you're embodying more of your higher self oversoul, your multidimensionality, now you're vibrating in a higher frequency, you're experiencing more love, more synchronicities, more beauty. And even if you do have an experience, because I feel like no matter how enlightened you get, you're going to always have some kind of tests or trials, but at least you can navigate through it with some more grace and some more ease. And it tremendously affects your experience. And you start to go through life like, wow, this is truly beautiful and amazing. And you start to have such gratitude to participate in it. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, what I wanted to piggyback on what you just shared is that I realize, or I think I get the feeling of that once we are embodying more of our higher self and our oversoul and more of our soul essence into our human body and this light body, that we are able to I would say rebound from what is what is coming at us, like, you know, like whatever happened during the day, human life, that, you know, something frustrating, it comes to us, then the intention, I believe, is to be able to easier to see through what is going on, what's being triggered, so we are able to rebound back to that balance or harmonious state. And I think it's also at that moment that as you embody more of your higher self, your oversoul, you realize we actually have the power to create our life in the way we wish to experience, right? Not to control life, but really to co-create with the fellow humans and our guide, our, you know, spirit teams and the universe.
Yeah, I love that you said that. That's 100% true. In fact, I would say that when you term, you know, the 3D world, where people are, you can be a conscious and awake in the 3D world, but I just use that as a descriptor of when I was completely not awake. You know, I was going through the world unconsciously. You feel like you take everything so personal, just as I was describing it, victim, victimizer, so forth. And I think on the journey of, to use a term that is so widely used, enlightenment, or, you know, fully embodying one's core essence and higher self and oversoul, I think that's when you know you're on the right journey, is when you're able to consciously be able to rebound, just as you were mentioning, and to just be in awareness, at least, of what is triggering you, or being awareness of what's going on, and having a little bit of that space between the situation and where you can just observe a neutrality, because neutrality is another profound topic, but it really is like this, the 0 point is another way of wording it. And for me, it is the way of transcending any situation at hand that might be perceived as, you know, a negative situation. I don't even like to use the words like negative and positive, but a situation that's not in resonance with you. When you're able to have that space and observe it, you transcend it. And then, yes, to your point too, which is another one of my favorite topics, is like, now you're in the realm of completely co-creating your reality as you wish to experience it. And I think it all really stems to, when you're living life consciously, that's when you take back your power from the fear, from everything that's could be discordant, or you know, not of align with your highest and best of your path. It could all go back to you giving your power to that situation or to that being. And when you become conscious, like you were saying, and you're able to rebound and you're able to recalibrate back to your 0 point, now you are no longer giving your power away, and now you are consciously choosing how you want to experience reality. And it's such a beautiful gift once people can get to that level.
So the question comes, like, how do we come to that level? How do people, like, you know, I know a lot of people are going through a lot of upsetting events in their lives. So to really prompt them to awake, like to really become, well, begin to ask questions like, you know, what is the meaning of my life? Who am I? And what is all this about? Like, you know, so would you like to just share like how, maybe even relay some, you know, talk about some of your journey, like how do people get onto this awareness and consciousness?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question, and a very important question, I feel, during these times, as this is not something that a few individuals are experiencing. This is a whole collective ascension that we are experiencing, as I would term it. And the how, I feel like, just like everything else, there's so many ways. It's whatever resonates with you. But the one that I have found that has worked best for me is really going within. You know, we talk about that all the time. We hear about this all of the time. The path is within, or there's so many sayings I could quote from all of these beautiful ascended masters, and all of these teachers now who are coming up. But truly, that is the path, because first of all, some people might have experiences that they would call an awakening, or they might not. Everyone's different, and everyone's going to experience it differently. But there's ultimately, it comes to a point in their lives where they realize they might have everything and they still feel empty, or they might be on the process of trying to obtain what they think they need, and then they just have this inner knowing, or this inner questioning going off, like, who am I, why, or there's something more to this reality. So it's having that awareness, there's something more than the way we've been living life. And then you really start to, I think that's when we need to start going within, because at this point now we are getting into, there's many terms for it. Shadow work is the one that I've known it most by, but essentially you are going within and you're clearing, you know, any trauma we might have accumulated as a child, or during the adult, or perhaps in previous life cycles, clearing any kind of karma, and really lightening up the body, because what essentially all that is just we've accumulated so much frequencies that are dense. This is what I would term it. And when you finally go within and you put the spotlight on it and you do the work, you start to release these densities, and then you start to lighten up. And then as a result, you're starting to raise your frequencies, and now your experiences and the clarity at which your higher self can bring you answers is not only more quicker, but it's clearer. And next thing you know, what you need to do for your service, or what you would like to experience for your service, comes to you. Next thing you know, the person you need to meet is coming to you. And so you can just see, just by that little example, going within is truly the path, because everything, it's almost like you kind of pull out of the mindset of like, I need to work to obtain this. But when you get to that level, it's like, now it's not like you're working 100%. It's like you're co-creating with the universe when you're doing that. It sends you the people. Yeah, of course you have to take some action in communicating with them, but there's a balance with the efforting that takes place when it comes to trying to find their place in this universe, to trying to find the answers, to find out their service. And yeah, it all stems from the path of within. And that's exactly how my journey has been, is going within. And I don't know if it will ever stop, because truly we are infinite creator beings, and we are constantly going to be knowing ourselves. You know, there's this talk of we're ascending to the fifth dimension. Whatever dimension you feel like we're ascending, we're moving up in consciousness. And I feel like most people, let me just speak from my experiences. I felt like I had this mindset of like, okay, I felt like there's a finish line, the fifth dimension, ascension. I need to get there, but it's going to be ongoing process, even if we get to the fifth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, and so forth. So knowing that, you take away the race mentality of like needing to have, you know, I need to be in service right now. I need to be awakened right now. I need to be enlightened right now. Like, just relax, surrender, go within. The flow will bring you everything you need exactly when you need to be there, because this is going to be a nonstop journey. And going within is just creating such a solid foundation for what is to come in our evolution.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, there's this image that kept coming when you are talking about this process of like going within and to look at, the trauma or the wounding we have, chosen to take on or to experience, on the soul level. And it's almost like that. Funny, the image was more like layer of this plastic foley, like we've been putting on so many filters or object or just some energy or frequency, as you say, like we've just been through this human conditioning process, also socializing process, like we just have so many layers and layers of filters. And the path of going within and all this inner work, whether you talk about, maybe it's past life healing, it's inner child healing, or just some conditioning. It's about like taking away one filter or one layer of this thing that block our connection to the bigger part of our energy or our connection, to higher self, to oversoul, to the bigger, to the universe. And it is just really about letting one layer after one layer go, that we are able to see clearer and clearer. It's like if you have these blindfolds, like, 10, 20 blindfolds, how can you see the beauty of the nature? It's just like, and we'll basically, with that conditioning, we just running circle, isn't it? Like we are reactive to the same stimulus, to the same trigger, and have the same response. It just, so it is quite, it's not easy work to do this inner work, to do this shadow work, but it is, I would say it's very rewarding. Each time you are able to feel a bit more freedom,
Yes,
more space to breathe and to be you. Like, it just feel like we hear a lot about, just be you, just be authentic you, but who is the authentic me? Like, definitely a lot of people think authentic me means I just say whatever I want to whoever I want, or do whatever I want, not care about what other people think or what impact I have in their life. But I think that is, like, also in itself is a very conditioned understanding of the authentic self. Yeah, and I wonder, would you like to
yes,
take the thread?
yes. No, you're bringing up such amazing topics. Let me just say, to touch on, because there's so many things that are coming in, to touch on that point of or I'm not sure exactly how you said it, but how do you find the authentic you? Is it, you just go around saying what you want to people? If it's for your experience, that's right for you. But for me, I would say one tool is, there's something to be said of silence. And also this could be used as one tool too. You mentioned the past life regressions is one way of clearing out of past traumas. And there's many modalities, but some sort of meditation practice, in my opinion, has been very crucial in my journey of finding out who my authentic self is. Because as you're releasing these densities, as you're getting silent, you're able to hear it come in. Not necessarily, not everyone like literally hears it audibly. Maybe it's just the inner knowing. Maybe everyone is so different, we're all unique. So it's important to not be attached to how you get the answers, but you start to embody more of a discernment. And in my point of view, the heart is the key of moving forward. And as you're releasing all these densities, as you're getting silent, and as you're coming more into the heart space, that can be your meter to determine, okay, so I'm choosing to speak whatever I want to people. Is that coming from the heart or is that coming from the mind? Like, what is your intention behind the initial action? And in doing that process, I can tell you, if it's coming from your heart, you are on the path, or you are on the path of your higher self, of your highest embodiment of who you truly are, and following your heart. I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but it's true, is it, you'll start to be doing more things that are most aligned with your highest and best interest. And before you know it, it's just everyday living of being in your heart, being, you're no longer seeking like, what is, what is this? What is my highest and best? Or, you're just it. And it's so funny because a part of my awakening process, part of it was I was reading a lot about Zen teachings, and a lot of them have like these, these mystical sayings or something like, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but at first I'm like, I just love how it makes you think. But now I see the wisdom in it. I mean, I see the wisdom in a lot of things, but it's so, I'm not sure where I was going to go with that, but yeah, I would say that's something that I wanted to say in regards and to what you brought through. And one thing that came in when you were mentioning about shadow work is that we got to realize that we are removing densities that not only have been accumulated for our whole lives, depending on how old you are, and not only from past lives, but there's something to be said about ancestral karma. And I've been to a point where I've done so much inner work and I think, okay, I'm done with this, I move on. Next thing you know, I have that coming in again, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, what? I've already done the work. Like, why is this not done? It's like, this is so deep, and there's so much of it. You got to be patient, and you got to have so much self-love. And okay, if it's coming up, then it's a sign to let you know now you're ready to release more, and to not get discouraged when things come back, as if when you've already done the work on it. And just to keep approaching things from the heart and neutrality, and little by little, step by step, you are going to transcend all this frequencies that are no longer serving you, and you'll be more and more aligned with your true purpose, your higher self, and so forth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think it comes from my own experience that this journey of healing, like you thought, oh, I'm doing a lot of inner work, inner child work, I'm doing a lot of past life work. Okay, now I clear everything. And then it comes more like ancestral, and then not only your own lineage ancestral, there's also like your blueprint ancestral that's like on your soul level. So the thing I learned is that I love what you say, like just to have self-love and compassion for ourselves, right? Because the human mind, I think we are so conditioned like to wanting to get to somewhere, and then that's the destination, and that's the end, and that's the goal, and then no more work to be done, and I'm all like enlightened, and life just like smooth and on calm sea. But what I also realized is that our soul does not want that, like the soul, when it's part of the source, you receive everything, all that is, and all that's why we chose to be on earth, to experience this difficult or challenging or complicated or fascinating polarities and all kinds of emotions, especially the emotions. So I would just like to share really from my own personal experiences that it is, I mean, our life journey is really about each moment, each present moment. So there is so many teaching about, being present, being mindful. And I realized that is because our life, human life, is not here to dream about what we're gonna do in 5 years, which of course that's part of the, for some people it's like they love to create, they love to visualize, and not to enjoy, what kind of life they wish to experience. But I think the power of our journey and the precious gem is in this very present moment, how we react or how we be in the surrounding and how we are or how we are being within ourselves and with ourselves. Like very often I experience self-judgment, like, like you are a therapist yourself, you've done so much work, but why are you still struggling, for example? And why are you still feeling, anxiety? Then, that I think really so much is in the present moment, how we are within ourselves and with our surrounding. And it is also that I just feel self-compassion is so essential to really have to hold space for ourselves, whatever we are going through. It is difficult. And then I believe every one of us is doing our best at each given moment. And, so when we are doing our best and we are still struggling emotionally or mentally, it is really, what we need really is the compassion, is just to hold space and to allow ourselves to be without judging or criticizing, or expect us to be somewhere else or to be somehow different, a different person. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's such a powerful topic, compassion. And when I think about compassion, I think about forgiveness, and I can just get this whole trickle of amazing topics. But that's so true. Self love and getting out of that mentality of like there's a finish line point and we need to be at a certain location. It's like, no, you are exactly where you need to be when you need to be. And it's just, if you hold that self love and that compassion for yourself, you're going to fly through these, if you want to call them milestones or times, when these the inner process comes back again, or if you're starting to feel self-judgment, you're going to fly through them and it's going to be behind you. And then next thing you know, before you know it, from moment to moment to moment, it's like you're at a place of, I guess, enlightenment, to say, for lack of better words. Yeah. And the now moment topic is such a profound topic because it kind of plugs back into the multidimensionality that we truly are, who we are as multidimensional beings. Well, if you get into, I want to see if it's being brought up, I'll just say it. Okay, so when you get into how we perceive time, truly, we only have the now moment. And we are also, and this might be a little quantum physicsy, but I assure everyone that this is being proven, and this has been my experience as well. We are also simultaneously coexisting in multiple other realities at one time in the now moment. And when you find the 0 point in the now moment, and you have the knowledge, the wisdom, you can then, when you get to a certain level, you can then shift your reality to another reality of experience. And so if people can sit with what it means to be in the now moment and explore the now moment in absolute neutrality in the 0 point, I think people will start to have experiences. Whereas if they don't put the attention there, because from my experience, and this is due a lot to Marina Jacobi and what she's bringing forth in her teachings, it's like, wow, we are truly capable of experiencing anything we want. And it all comes down to that now moment. It comes down to the neutrality and being able to navigate through those times of hardships and situations that might not be perceived as not aligned for your highest and best in the now moment. But from my perspective, everything is the highest and best, because as you mentioned before too, it's like the emotions, the densities we came to experience, all that is for growth and experience and expansion. And so it's all so beautiful to me.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to just connect this to, all these things we're here to experience, to actually expand us, to stretch us, to really bring us to a higher understanding of what this life is about. And that connects to purpose, isn't it? I believe our purpose is very connected to what we have gone through, what we are going through, and what we are going to go through. So whether it's the positive experience, well, positive, not to categorize, but all the good experiences that experience that make us happy, make us joy, make us shine, that brings us joy, versus the experience that make us feeling small, that like sort of condition us to a certain mechanism. They are all here to help us explore different aspects and different experience, different spectrum of the human experience, so that actually, and I believe that's all part of the nutrients, is to nurture the purpose or the being or the things we are here to do, to give back to the humanity, to the earth. And none of those experiences and none of those moments will go in vain. Like, we are not wasting our time, because it is all these amazing nutrients to make us a human, or into a being that develop our superpowers or develop our special gifts.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a reoccurring theme in all of our conversations, which I personally can tie it back to. Is like when you're saying this, I'm just thinking like, yeah, truly, and everything else we've talked about, it's like the key is the start point is to start to go within. Yes, there is knowledge and wisdom outside of us, and I'm not saying to not do that, but for sure, if there comes a point in time, at least on my own journey, when I really started to go within for my questions and my answering, and trusting what was coming through was coming from higher self, that's when you're in this whole new world of like these abilities that you just mentioned. Now you're starting to get into telepathy and telekinesis and levitation, and it's no longer just a few gurus or monks or yogis in the mountains. Now is the time for humanity to really shine. And everyone is capable of all these profound, when you hear the stories of Buddha or Yeshua, and it's like no longer it's just a small few. We're, in my opinion, we are all the modern day ascended masters, if you choose to step into that role and do what we're talking about. Start to do the inner work, start to go within, start to be silent, start to be present in every now moment, start to really be conscious of your living, no longer being reactive. And as a result, you're going to start to experience a life that you've only read about or you've only seen in movies, and this is reality that you can experience it. So it's this whole topic is so fascinating. I love it. That's what I want to say, because it's so liberating, it's so empowering, and for me, that's one of the things that I love to help people do, is like, if I could just be a catalyst in helping someone realize that they are truly a multidimensional, powerful, loving creator being, and they have the capabilities of creating whatever they wanted, that is all I need to do. Because truly, to go from forgetting and the densities to remembering and empowerment and sovereignty and wow, what an amazing experience that is.
Yeah, that feels good. Yeah, I believe that all this process of whether we want to use awakening or ascension or remembering, remember who we truly are. This whole process is really coming back to connect to that state of, empowered, to really know that we have so much more power within us that we can tap into, that we can use, we can play, and to really let go of the density, all this, reactive conditioning and programming. And I think that sense of freedom is just beautiful. It is incredible. Like to know that, the sky is not is not even the limit. We have the whole universe.
And then universes after universes after universes, truly infinite.
Yeah, good, beautiful. So I just want to ask you as the last question that, so what do you feel are you most passionate about?
I would say, being of service to others, truly, because there's something to be said that, well, first of all, when you're of service to others, there's so many different threads that contains, love for you, love for them, compassion for you, compassion for them. And you can go down this list of all these beautiful frequencies. And in my experience of attaining, I could have X amount of dollars. Okay, I could get the new car. Okay, I get the new house. Okay, but when you get that feeling, when you've been of service to someone and you've helped them on their path, and you there's an energetic exchange that is unlike anything that I've ever experienced. And it's like, from my perspective, I don't view like the separation and the duality is part of the 3D. We've experienced it, but when you get to more in your heart and you start to align who you are, you start to see the bigger picture. I see another individual as another version of me experiencing life through their own perspective, because we are all one. And so there's that sense of like, when you're being of service to others, you're also being of service to yourself. And it's the balanced way of doing it, because the way I've heard it expressed is like, if instead of saying good and evil, there's the path of service to self, or there's service to others. Service to self, as you can probably tell, you're off balance. Everything's about you. You're trying to take advantage of others. You just want your good higher than others. But service to others, it's that balance of like, you want their well-being taken care of, but at the same time, that energetic exchange, you're also servicing yourself. And it's like, wow, it just feels so right. So service to others is what I'm really passionate about, and not just human beings, the plants, the planets, our galactic families, inner earth families, and all that we don't even know exists out there. I love it all. We're all one. So that's, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your presence, your heart, and your passion. It is, it's beautiful. I think when we are in the state, able to reach that state of being service, like really from the heart, and to allow ourselves to become the conduit of the universe, of the divine, of the source. That's so much healing, or so much, well, I want to say miracle, but miracle in the sense of really, helping an other being to transcend their limitation. That is truly, empowering and really liberating and really, really beautiful. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on here. And I think you said it so beautifully well. It's like, if there's something I want to say to who is watching this, it's like, if it resonates with you, be prepared to exist in a reality where what we term as miracles to become everyday life, what we term as superhero powers to become everyday life, what is termed to be just ready to experience a whole new way of perceiving reality. Start to go within, start to find what resonates with you. There's many modalities out there of how one can do it, and connect, just like how we're doing here. There's many of us out there. It's really nice to be in a little community of some sort, or at least one other person who is like-minded. As you're awakening, you're going to start to see that the traditional 3D way of living doesn't feel as good. So when you have someone else to kind of go and talk to and have them, it's such a beautiful experience. So thank you again for having me on here. And I love you. And I love everyone who is watching this. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steven. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for whoever you're watching. And no matter what time you're watching this is the right timing. And if you resonate with Steven, do get in contact. We will have his website link below, and or just being open and allow yourself to be drawn to whatever modality or energy that that speaks to your heart. So until then, take care and enjoy your life. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.